What's up, folks? Jay here again, back with some of your most frequently asked questions. I'm going to try to give you the answers to the best of my ability. I've been living here 2.5 years, been visiting since 2012 prior to that. So the main question here is, why do some people move here and then leave, right? Well, the reality is that Belize is a dream for a lot of people, but not everyone who moves here stays. There are patterns, right? There are common mistakes. So let's talk about why some people quietly pack up and leave. I actually have a whole video on this topic that I'll link to up here, and I'll definitely leave the link in the description or first comment as well. But here's the TLDR, Cole's Notes version, or Cliff Notes version if you're in the States. Is it a personality mismatch? So you might be somebody who thinks you need a break from all the politics, for example, that is plaguing the United States and by osmosis Canada. Maybe you're trying to just unplug from all of it. Maybe you need a break. We all need mental breaks from all of that, absolutely. But a big problem with that is that people come here and they're still so wound up, even if you're, on what you would think is the right side of everything going on, right? The reality of it is that even though we all need a break from it and you're trying to unplug from it or just like put it on pause for a minute, the reality is you're so wound up, and I've been there, at all the atrocities going on that, you want to kind of just hit that pause button and come down and like unplug. But then, a couple of drinks in and, just somebody will mention something and it's triggering in a way that you can just identify with. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, I can't believe that that's going on. It's like the craziest thing ever. And so grateful that, to be out of it for a minute. At the same time, the atrocities that are happening to people are something that we just can't, idly sit by and take, right? And one very interesting thing that I saw was a comment by somebody who's like, if you ever wonder what you'd be doing during World War II in the Hitler era, you're doing it right now. So that kind of hit in a different way too. And then it just becomes this kind of like toxic space where both sides of this divisive kind of line are coming down and bringing everything with them. The whole point was to leave it at home. A good example of this for me back in Ontario, Canada, was when I played soccer for a Durham District Celtic supporters club. So, there's been an ongoing war between Northern and Southern Ireland for generations, and it's not going to end anytime soon. You come here for a better life to get away from the bombings and the car bombings and whatever you have, what have you. But then you come down here or came to Ontario, and then they brought it all with them. So there were still fights, there were still arguments, there was still all kind of stuff. The same thing is happening here with that sort of stuff. So if you intend to move here, leave that shit at home. All of it. That'll make it a lot easier for you. Belize has its politics. Belize is culturally layered. It's not a melting pot where people necessarily assimilate, but as a foreigner, people like to throw the word expat around a lot. That applies, I think, as far as I understand, to Americans in the United States. Canadians, we just call ourselves what we are. We're immigrants and foreigners. That's what you are when you move here. You're an immigrant and you're a foreigner, and live accordingly, right? People do here. You're not going to be forced into do anything. You're going to be allowed to practice what you want to do. No one's going to force you to do anything you want. There's such a diverse culture here, blend of cultures here, where you can have like the Garifuna, who are descendants of African slaves who have gotten refuge on the mainland with Baymen, who my understanding were ex-British sailors turned potential pirates and then defectors who also freed some more slaves who didn't agree with the entire thing of the slavery, and they kind of worked together at some point to fend off the Spanish. So you have the Garifuna still, their culture, African descendants. They have the drumming and definite, like hudut, which is a traditional Garifuna dinner. So many, unique influences, and still have the cultural pockets that you can just go visit, and they've got tours about all this stuff. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. You've got all the Mayan temples and like how to make chocolate and things like that the way the traditional Mayans did. Got the Mennonites who are here building houses and running different kinds of markets. You've got, and then the Belizean Creole, right? Which is like very much like a Jamaican patois. It's very similar to English that mixed with some historical, cultural lingo or linguistics, right? That just kind of mix. So it's really cool to see, for example, third generation or fourth generation Chinese here speaking English, for example. The only English they know, they'll speak Chinese, whatever, like Cantonese, Mandarin, what have you. But when they switch to English, the only English they've ever known is the Belizean Creole. So you're hearing this, like what I would call in Ontario jokingly with a Chinese Jamaican friend over there was Jamasian, right? They look Asian, but out came the Caribbean, right? Like out of the mouth. So I love it. I love every minute of it. I love that you can't tell what's coming out of somebody's mouth, who they are, their creed, culture, background. Everybody has a story here. To me, that's one of the best parts about the whole place. So personality mismatches, absolutely all over the place. Don't come here and think you can improve the place. It's works the way it works, and you can either adapt and get used to it, or you can leave, right? What up, D? How was the fishing? Yeah. It's a fisherman who's going to clean right down here. Going to clean some fish right on the seawall down here, and I'll show you in this camera. Right behind this little red bar, you can see the blue pail. That is his bucket typically of fish, and he will be cleaning that stuff. So I'll show you some of that, clip in some of that probably after too. Next question on the list on this one was, do people underestimate the income requirements? Yeah. It costs a lot more than you think. So you can stay all day as a visitor on a tourist visa here. It'll cost you $100 to extend every 30 days. Pretty easy that way, at least for the Commonwealth passport as a Canadian. I'm pretty sure it works the same with US passports. The only thing I've seen is that they can be a little more stringent with Americans. So they will ask you, for example, to show proof that you have a place to stay. So maybe your Airbnb or your apartment lease for 6 months, or, if you're, what do you call it? Snowbirding or type thing like that, or if you're here for a year, they might just ask you for proof of residence or something like that, or proof of financials to say that you are, here and in a sustainable way. You're not going to, defect or be a drain on the country. They're pretty lenient with us. The first time we went for an extension was the only time we had to prove that we had a lease, and then after that it was zero sweat. Capping off the income requirements, one of the videos before this one, I'll probably link it here or here. We talk about the cost of living in Belize more specifically. So that's kind of, what surprises people is that it's not a cheap country. So there are ways to do it on the cheap, but it's not cheap as a whole. Does bureaucracy wear people down? Absolutely. So you can either, like I said, get with the program or find a different program, right? So what happens here for us, like for example, going through the hoops to get business registration and a work visa and that sort of thing, was you got a list that you got to fill up. They'll give it to you. The website, print it out, whatever, ticked all the boxes. Then you go in and they've got another 2 or 3 things that were not on that list. And then you fill those out and then you bring that back. And then they tell you another time that, oh, well, you also need this. I'm like, well, I had that in the first one, but you said you didn't needed it. Well, you didn't have it before. I'm like, yeah, I did. Well, we didn't need it then, and now we need it now. So the order of operations doesn't always make sense as foreigners, but it is what it is. Got to play by the rules down here. It just takes long times, but at the end of the day, it works. Kill them with kindness. Very helpful. If you go in with a full head of steam and you want to be an ass hat about it, then it's going to take it a little longer, right? Your application might get bumped to the bottom of the list. Be pleasant, be kind, be patient, and the bureaucracy won't wear you down nearly as bad. If you just work it into your systems and plan for it, it becomes less of a hurdle, right? It just becomes the process. That said, if you have been here, live here, or have gone through any of this, let me know down below what your experience has been. For us, it's been, relatively smooth, just a couple of hiccups, and we have to go to San Pedro, so it's a boat ride there, half hour one way and back, multiple times throughout this 3 or 4 month process to get everything up and above board, right? Always interested to hear other people's experiences though. Next question on the list here was, the small island gossip get loud? Yeah, so if something bad happens, it's on the local Facebook group within an hour, and then probably half the population is in there that lives here. So yeah, we're any kind of gossip spreads quickly. And then it's also such a small island that when you go out to the grocery store, you're gonna pass 5 or 6 people at any given time, right? A joke I made in the other one was, in another video, was like, oh, how long does it take you to walk to work? I'm like, well, it could be 15 minutes, it could be 25 minutes, depending on how many people you run into and say hi to you, because it's genuine conversations. So yeah, in that sense, gossip can travel quickly and far. Do people romanticize vacation? Yeah, absolutely. So it's easy to fall into the trap of, coming down here, and it's not the vacation that you're used to. Like, living here is different than a week or two at a time, or even a month at a time, right? A lot of people come and they're on vacation, so it's easy as somebody who moves here to fall into a trap where every night is new tourists, new people, new friends to make at a bar that are here on vacation having a great time. It's easy to meet new people, and I love new conversation, new stimulating conversation. Everybody has a story and I love every part of it. But if you're going to be, you know, sitting at a bar making new friends every night, it'll never get old. You can tell your story, they can tell their story, and it'll never get old. What will get old fast is running out of money, you know, once your bank account depletes because you can't afford to be out drinking and hanging out and eating out every single day, right? So yeah, people romanticize it. Like I said, with the nuances in the previous video, you know, the internet, things like the bureaucracy, the hurdles, the cost of living, all of that adds up real quick if you're not careful. So in our case, and if you want to hear more about this, you can, you know, let me know down below. But in our case, we work remotely. I've been selling novelty t-shirts online since 2012 on Etsy and Amazon. That's paid for my house back home, which is now rented out, and we're using that income pretty much, and then some. And then we also have our full-time jobs online. And then we just opened this shop behind me here. You can see this blue building is our pirate themed gift shop on the beach, and this is the one of the logos here. It's LATC, which is Lost Anchor Trading Co. So you can look that up, Lost Anchor Belize or Lost Anchor Trading Co. Key Cocker. And pop by, say hi. And you can see our big dog Tonka in there too. So yeah, that said, not perfect, but if you come here prepared, adaptable, and clear on who you are and what you want, it can be a pretty incredible place to build a real life. So keep dropping your questions and comments, go slow, stay sharp, and hit that like and subscribe.
What are these guys?
These are porgies.
Porgies?
Porgies, jewel-head porgies. In Creole we say pagi.
They got teeth.
They too.
They almost
But
look
it's
like
almost like a parrotfish, yeah. Almost like a
Yeah, it's
parrotfish.
like parrotfish, yeah.
Okay.
It's a porgy.
Interesting.
These are all yellowtail snappers. That's a mutton snapper, porgies.
Yeah. What's a pogie taste like?
It's awesome. It tastes like chicken on the grill.
Oh, wow.
Like a
So
tucker.
it's
Yeah.
thicker.
Yeah.
All right. Probably good with some sauce.
Yes, man, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why you cut off the head, you put it in half, put the sauce on it, put it on the grill. Perfect.
Lights out.